Hello, welcome back to Brandon Media Strategies. Today, we are going to be going over the Discovery A. We'll be going over the Every Designer Needs to Know, and I'll be playing around with the Bubbler Don't Burst My Summer Bubble giveaway logo with you all. So I'm going to say without further ado, let's get started. I'm just going to open up studio sessions. This is in your view, so you know what's going on. And this was the video lecture for the number 1, 01.1. I'll add this one in when we're done. There's a couple of stay organized and work smarter. Mid-session review. Again, use that. Check your work. Have your work checked before you turn it in. What a great way to make sure you're doing it right. Like, I'm acting as an art director. You would show your art director before you gave it to the client if you're working at a company. It's always good to have a second eyes on stuff. Make sure you're doing it 100% right. Checklist, we went over that ad nauseum on the last class. Like, what I'm looking for, if I see it, I'm going to be like, oh, I see there's hyphens, there's widows, and there's this and that, and you will be knocked out. Oops, I didn't mean to even open it. We went over the bubbler, and then I went over the quick quiz and brand basics. So I'm going to do graphic design Discovery A. And I'm just going to jump right in a little bit and move some stuff around and show you what I would do. And I have a design, and oh, it's not letting me do it. Okay, I may have to do it with you. Okay. Because of the way I have something set up, I have to move windows around. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, don't look. Don't look. Let's turn all those eyeballs off first. You're not supposed to see it. All right. So let's get that over there. And so first thing I did is graphic design discovery, Pushpin Studios, Seymour Schwast. Epic stuff. If you're in the history class, you'll learn about this eventually. And Pushpin Galleries is with Milton Glaser, ton of other guys. Seymour Schwast was also an illustrator and designer with Pushpin Studios, and I really liked the work. So I decided to do a little write-up and a piece on Pushpin Studios, and more or less specifically on Seymour Schwast. Now, I've gathered some images in the past. I don't have them anymore because when I first did this, I was in a different classroom, yada, 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 and that was pre being able to save really easily through the Adobe Creative Cloud and stuff. So I don't have all that stuff, but we're going to work through it, and I'm going to show you what I would do. So I knew what I wanted to do. It's like, oh yeah, Pushpin, and you read about it. I'm just going to read real quick. I'm not asking you to spend hours on research here. And then I got some text. I knew what I wanted, and I'm going to pick him. And we know the sizes from our assignment. So let's start the assignment. Well, I did my research, and then actually what I did is I did a little sketch. I was going to do Pushpin Studios, like up here. So this is the size of the document, and I just did this in one of our lovely studios here. You can come in, you can use a drawing screen, and I came in and I knew what I wanted, so I came in and I was like, okay, the chicken is from that area, because instead of paper, I'm going digital now. Like, paper's out, digital's in, and then you'll see why. And I'm like, okay, Pushpin Studios is gonna be up there. This is gonna be a picture of Seymour. I'm gonna have an about section, a who, this is Seymour, and then 4 images. Just going by what I need to do from my assignment and what I need to include and what I don't need to include. So, being very careful with that and making sure I have absolutely everything I need. I did a little sketch, and it was based on what I'd seen. I like this chicken image. I'm going to use that chicken image. I found some other images that I'm going to use, and I think I used this image of Seymour. With that being said, we need to create the document. So I'm going to go to File, New. No, Illustrator, not Photoshop. File, New. And I'm going to create the width. It's 13 wide by 17 tall. Oh, 13.5. by 17. All right. Bleed, 0.25, great. And more settings. All this is good. I don't need to even open that actually, and I'm gonna hit create. So here we are, we're set. I'm gonna set my margin layer. Again, why are we doing these margin layers? Well, you need to set a margin. And usually when you work with a print company, there's gonna be a margin set. And they're gonna say, make sure you pay attention to the margin. If you don't, you may screw up your print job. But why? Well, because they can't guarantee stuff. I don't know why that turned on. They can't guarantee proper printing unless you follow their guidelines. So this is why we set up margins and bleeds and make sure nothing gets cut off that's not needed. 16.5. I'm going to fill it with nothing. I'm going to have my stroke be the magenta, and it's 1 point, and I want this centered on the artboard. So all I have to do is click that, and it centers it on the artboard. My size is wrong. It's not supposed to, it's supposed to be 16 and not 16.5. And then I'm going to recenter it. But yeah, so that's why, you know, like there's a reason. And then so anything, they're telling you that anything outside of that margin when you do this might not print right. It might get cut off. It might. So like if you start putting like the start of a paragraph over here, well, you're out of luck. They're going to call you and be like, you got to redo it. We don't want that there. And it's going to mess everything up. So that's why that's there. And you should learn to always start putting them in. I'm going to turn on my rulers. It's just Command R, Control R, learn how to use those key commands, turn on those rulers, and I'm going to pull one from the middle and pull one from the top. And I'm just going to get them centered. A little quick on that. I'm just using it when it hits perfect center. Now I know where the center of my document is, and we're all good. I'm going to go back to layers, and then I'm going to go to the hamburger menu, and I'm going to go to template. Again, what does templating do? It turns off that layer for printing. This margin will only show to the designer and the person who opens this file in Illustrator. It won't print, it won't show up anywhere else, but it's meant for you, the designer, to use. And that way that when the printer gets this file, they'll see and they're like, all right, perfect. It's not going to print. But if you have it in the wrong area and you have it as a regular layer and then they print your work and you're like, why is the margin there? And they're like, well, because you had it turned on. We didn't know that was your margin. Like you had it as a layer and not a template. So that's why we create templates. Now we also have to create crop marks because we have to know where to cut this because we work with bleed and they need to know where to cut it. And so we make that the size of the panel. So it's 13.5 inches wide, 17 tall. And then for this, I'm going to go to properties and I'm going to turn off. There's no fill. There's no stroke. But then when you go to this FX button, I'm going to click that and I'm going to add crop marks. And now you can see I have crop marks. See that? Crop marks are right there. And there's no box. I don't want to see a black line here for your box. Like, oh, you left the stroke on. Because what? That will print. We don't want that. We just want the crop marks off the page, and that's set up for the designer. Maybe they're going to export this in a different way. I've seen a student, they're like, you can put the crop marks on when you make the PDF, but here they're embedded into the actual document. Maybe they're going to do something else. Maybe they have to make changes. We want those crop marks in on our document, especially if we're getting more serious and we're using things like die cut lines and stuff like that. All right, now the layers. I'm going to add my layers. And this may get screwed up for me when I do this. I'm going to do a copy paste over. So typography. Got that. I need a layer images, a background layer. and background. All right. So I'm going to move my margin up to the top. I'm going to make sure layer 2 is called crop marks. And now I know where everything is, where everything needs to be. Now I'm secretly going to go over here, and I have some other layers. So I have to turn them all on. I'm going to select all. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to edit. I'm going to edit, paste in place, and I'm going to turn everything off. Ignore, apply to all, ignore. Yes. All right, turn all these off. That did not come over as smoothly as I wanted to, but I wanted to make that the document with you all. So I turn those on. And so first thing, I'll show you. I wanted this dot pattern. So I got this chicken guy, and the chicken comes with a dot pattern background. And I was like, that's a rad background. I want to use that. But look how crud that is. Like, that's not designer worthy. And then I made one in the past, and I was like, I made it by hand, and then there's this overlap. So I made it light cyan. And so you see this dot? Those are overlaps. And that way I just took it out. But there's another way to make this dot pattern. It's pretty rad. And you can do it, size it, and then change it. So I'm going to make a square. And I tried it a couple times beforehand. It's sometimes goofy. And I'm going to do a 50% gray. And it's just a square box. You know, I could make it to the size I want, actually, too, just to guarantee that it's bigger than I need. It's always probably better to just do that, like bigger than I need, like, right? If I put that over there, it's bigger than I need. And then it's 50% gray. And now what I'm going to go to is Effect, Pixelate, Color Halftone. And I'm going to pick a pretty big, and we can adjust this. I got a rad way to adjust this. The maximum radius is in pixels of the size of the circle it's going to make. So I'm going to go to 32. And I'm just going to hit OK. So since it's only one color, there's only going to be one channel made, because channel 1 is like C, channel 2 is M, channel 3 is Y, and channel 4 is K. I do not know this for a fact that those are what they lead to, but that's why there's one of each channel. And now I'm going to hit OK. It takes a minute. It's processing, big processing. And there I get it. So that is a dot pattern that the computer created for me, and I can zoom in. Now, the cool part is with that selected, I can go and change my color. And I went to here. Now watch when I change my opacity of it. I can change my dot size and distance. It's kind of neat. It takes a little bit, you know, like it like kind of goes. And so you can change it. I have a lot of stuff open. So the darker you go, the more dots. And the less you go, the fewer. So see how that works? So you can kind of create a dot pattern, and then you can go back. You should be able to double click and go back and play with spacing and the size of the dot. But it's pretty cool. So there's a lot of functionality there. And then, so this is like a live area, live trace sort of thing. So I'm going to go to Edit, and I am going to, or Object, and I'm going to expand the appearance. And what that's going to do is make it it should make it a vector. Oh, it doesn't. It's not doing it on this one. Oh, it didn't do it for me. All right, well, I'm going to keep going with this. So if this is Let's fix that. Because it should have expanded it. Image trace. Cancel. Oh, I've had this work before. Or if I just do it with this, let's do that. Oh, let's do this. I do it in the color I want it. I want it in the cyan. So we'll do it in the cyan. Always like a million ways to do that. I did this dot pattern by hand. And it's sometimes it's quick, but I like there's some weird things that you can have produce when you do it with the computer. But like I said, like right there, it didn't work the way I wanted it to. So I'm just going to do it again. And I want it in cyan. So I'm going to go to pixelate, color halftone, and just hit, it's 32. So I'm going to go down to 24 on those. Hit OK. And that did not work. So it does have to be grayscale. Oh, this is dumb. So then let's delete that. Let's do a gray again. Some gray effect. Pixelate, color halftone. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so my dot pattern, it's too tight. Oh, that's what I want. Well, that went too small. I'm really pushing this computer. It is not happy. Like the preview is not showing what it should. All right, we'll settle with that for now. And then can I do the, let's see if I can get this out to a vector. So usually when you hit the object and you expand the appearance, what it's going to do is it's going to take all the information that it had and turn it into separations. So this, it took a color pattern and it's taking the dot pattern, and for some reason when I hit the expand appearance, it is not giving me the vector that I was hoping for to come out of that. They're pretty good dots though, but we just want to see if we can colorize them then. So let's put some color overlays and see if we can get that too. And it's just like Photoshop. You just like darken, multiply, color burn, lighten, screen, color dodge, overlay. Oh, I might have to like do more research on this for next week. But this is what I go through and I do. Like when I'm working on projects, like, what do I want? How do I want it to change? Like, why is the color one not working? This is very confusing. Well, you know what? I'm going to do more research on this because I've used this dot pattern. I don't use it all the time. And I started with it and I'm going to finish with it. But I'm going to show you the other way then. So I'm going to lock this for a minute and create new dots. And I'm just going to do it by hand. Sometimes it takes a little bit. You make a circle and it's just duplicating. So whenever you're running those problems, like still do it. You can do it. So I'm just going to create a dot and I'm going to copy that over. And then I'm just hit duplicate. And it is finding those dots and I'm going to make it as big as it needs to be. For my document. And I'm just going to keep doing it. And if you hold down Control D, it'll go all the way across. And then I'm going to grab all those. And I'm going to group them. And then I'm going to just hold down Shift and Option to make a copy. And duplicate that. And then I'm going to take this, I'm going to group it. So that's 2 full lines. And I'm going to pull straight down and duplicate that. And you can do it like 1 or 2 more times. And then now I'm just going to hit duplicate. Until I get my dot pattern. And those are all vector dots. And then I can group that. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to turn that off. And then I can grab that. And then I can resize these as well to get it to fit. And then when I zoom in, and then now these are all vector dots. And they're all filled with the same color. So if I go to Properties and I select it, the fill is that. And so if I want to change that, I can just go to here and lighten it to where I want it, 50%. All right, I got my dot pattern. I got to work on that dot fill. I've had it work in the past. I don't know why I wasn't exporting, but it's not a big deal. What I did is I worked around the problem to get what I still wanted. And that's one of the things with being a graphic designer is like, there's 1,000 ways to do one thing. And if one's not working, don't keep doing it. Do a different way and just keep moving on with the design. All right, so for my text, I picked this text. And it's Pushpin Studios, and it's about, and I typeset it. And one of those things that we're talking about is when we typeset, we're not typesetting, and we're not doing center type anymore. That center aligned type, it just stopped doing it. It's not professional. We're not doing a poem. People just don't want to read down the center of something. When we have designs that are set up in a asymmetrical format, it's far more interesting to view. So make sure you're not just always typesetting and doing this. Nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see it. So make sure you're doing that. And then like when you're looking at your designs too, and I open that up, I'm like, those cyan dots need to be lighter, which is fine. So I'm just going to go to here, make sure all my other ones are locked. So I can select all and go to Properties, go to Fill, and I'm going to reduce this down to like, maybe I'll do down to 25. Layers, and lock that up. It's better. So now I have that design. So I'm also, when I'm doing this, thinking about the design, and I'm looking at, I was going back and looking at the Pushpin Studio stuff, and like, that's why I picked a fun font that kind of matches Pushpin Studios. We're just having a good time with that. Now I want that chicken in there. And now the chicken was this picture. And I needed to create a clipping math for the chicken. So what you can do is you can use the pen tool and you can go around. You can use the pencil tool and go around. If you have certain like skill set, you use it, or you use the instruments that you have at your disposal. Like here at MATC, we have drawing screens. So without you knowing it, I'm actually on a drawing screen now, and I can trace around using the pencil, and I can get in there. I gotta turn it on. Nope, wrong one. Turn this on. I'm on chicken, and I'm gonna draw. See, and I'm just gonna follow the chicken. And I can let go when I need to, pick it back up, move it, join back in, and I'm staying in the black. Now, look how much easier this is than if I was like doing this with the pen tool. And I can do this because I'm drawing directly on the screen with one of our drawing screens, an M560, which everybody has access to. And we open times, we're just going around. Just going around. And I'm staying like well away. I don't want any white showing on my cutout. So like I'm staying far away from the white. Oh, that was a goofiness. We'll go up. I should have really zoomed out for this part, hey? Let's do that. Sometimes I just keep going with what I'm doing, not thinking. And then I'll go back in here. And now I'll zoom back in. Use the hand tool. Find out where I went back in. And finish going around, making sure no white is there. I don't want any white showing. And I'm actually further out than I need to be because I'm not using this whole chicken. And there you go. So I completed that. I can zoom out, zoom over. Now I'm going to select both the path I made and that. And I'm going to go to edit or object, clipping mask, make. There we go. It was hardcore. They're like, that clipping mask is insane. I was like, yeah, it is. And then I can take that chicken, I can delete it and move this one over where I want it. And again, so I'm looking, when I do this, that it's the chicken, I'm not up here. I'm not on the edge. I'm past, I'm to the bleed. And then I have that, see how I did the text to go around the beak? Pretty crazy. And then there, so now we have that matching background to the matching beak. And I know that's a little pixelated. That's fine because I'm using an image from somebody else. It still works really well for the design. And then I needed to add in a few other images. And I just popped those bad boys in, boom. So I have a picture of Seymour Schwast up here. And then I have my pictures here. Again, what am I doing with the pictures is I'm making sure they're cropped. I'm making sure that if they have a border, the border's correct. I'm making sure to the best of my ability that they're not going over the bleed. So I can pull that over, making sure spacing is good. Get them exactly how you need them. You are the designer. Like this is nice little section of images that create a rectangle, but everything is equally spaced within that area. And then we zoom out. And there we have it. It really shouldn't take you that much time. This explanation took longer. I got to figure out the dot matrix. I'm writing myself a note on that. Dot pattern. Like literally, I just did it at my house a couple weeks ago. No, actually, it was longer than a couple weeks ago. And I was able to do it exactly how I wanted it. So whatever, we'll get it figured out. But it still worked. I went a different direction, still got the pattern I wanted. You can still work on that and you can still adjust it. So it's all good. So that's it. And then we're going to export two ways. Why do we export two ways? One, you save the file. We need to see the native file. I need to see how you're working. Then we export for the client and we export for the printer. So file, and then we go export as, and I will do PDF, and I will go desktop, and this is 142, so I know where I'm putting it, and I'm gonna call this client PDF export, and because it's for the client, I want to make sure I am on press quality. I'm making sure I view. I can preserve my Illustrator editing capabilities. I want trim marks, and I want to use the document bleed settings, and I hit export. Boom, it's done. We can see that everything is there. Crop marks. I go past with the bleed. That's the way a printer wants to see it. And then I'm going to file, export as, and then I'll call this one. Oh, did I call it client by mistake? Export. Yeah, I named them wrong. I apologize. I just said the wrong thing. Smallest file size goes to the client, not the printer. This one's general, view PDF after saving, marks and bleeds. Make sure none of this is turned on, and export. Why are we doing this again? Oh, that stayed on. Oh, you know why? It just overcast that one. I know why. We'll just do untitled. Adobe just opened up what it thought was the same file, even though I oversaved it. Small size file, marks and beads, export PDF. And there we have. Now we have it with no extra, and it saved the images a little bit lower res, because generally when we go for a client, we're going to email them and they don't need to see the biggest file possible. So there we are. My little discovery. Well, that is the history one I did today. So there you go. I will find out that dot matrix stuff soon. All right, let's do a little time on the every designer needs to know. So I'm going to don't save. I don't want to keep that one anymore. All right, every designer needs to know. These are supposed to be really quick type challenges for you. There's going to be a certain size. You're going to set up, I think all these are in Illustrator. You're going to set it up. You're going to find a saying from the reading, just one line, and you're going to typeset it in the coolest way you can, but as fast as you can. Like this isn't not like, oh, I spent like 3 hours doing this. No, this should be quick. These are like quick, like get on the computer, do something quick. It's fun. It's easy. It gets you to think a little bit more. And it's just a fun little challenge. The reading is down here at the bottom. So you click on it and peruse it. It's just a couple pages and it's all like weird, interesting design stuff. Some things you know, like, you can influence what people see or think they see by the shapes or colors. Stop war, peace now, or stop peace, war now. Like that's hilarious and crazy. But these little readings show you, the designers, the power you have as a designer. And just to be quick, I was going to take this one. If you need to see in the dark, don't look straight ahead. I'm going to copy that information and I'm going to go back to my assignment. I'm opening it on a different screen so I can see the sizes. Why is it not letting me see this? So we have this thing where I have to lock out. To do this student preview. Cancel. The student preview thing I do to have the screen look different doesn't always work. All right, I can do it from here. So file, new. You can print if you want. Print. And we want inches. And we want 7.5 wide by 5 tall. 1 artboard, 0.25 a bleed, and create. So there we are. We do the same thing. I'm going to make a margin. So this is how quick you should be able to start getting with some of these. I'm in a rectangle tool, and it's going to be 7 by 4.5. So properties, 7 tab 4.5. enter, fill. And I'm just going to go down the line. Fill is nothing. Stroke is magenta. 1 point. No effects. Align. Boom, boom. Center it on the page. And then I'm going to pull the guide. I'm going to turn on my rulers. I'm going to pull a guide. I'm going to pull a guide. And then I'm going to turn that into a template. Done. I'm going to make my crop marks plus. Crop marks. Do a square. Crop marks. Go to properties. Stroke. Nothing. Fill nothing. Stroke nothing. FX. Crop marks. Boom, I got my crop marks. I tell you guys, these are called Japanese crop marks. I used to use them back in the day. Instead of just being like a really far away point, I found it easier when we were doing mock-ups for me to cut stuff out if I use this Japanese crop mark. It's just something I've liked and I've used. You can do it. You can find them under preferences, like settings, general, use Japanese crop marks. It is what it is. It's not like anything crazy or new. So, and then we make a typography layer. And again, I want all this at the bottom. These two don't matter in order. All right, and then I'm going to just click and then I'm going to paste in my text. And now that's not typesetting, but I had an idea. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it. And I am going to delete this part from this part from this. I'm going to remove the period because I don't think we need the punctuation. Now this is dumb text. Anybody stop using default fonts, everybody? Everybody, no more default fonts, please. There's no reason to use default fonts. We have 1,000 fonts out there. And if you're like, oh, I'm just going to use the default font, well, then don't be a designer. Look at this. Did I use that last time with you all? I like that. Now, I am going to purposely do something that I said don't do because my purposefulness in doing this is meant as part of the design. And so I can, in that way, say like, no, you could tell me like, I'd be like, you have this weird thing. I don't like it. You can be like, I did that on purpose. Now I want this set of text to be left align. I want this set of text to be right align. And I want them like butted up. And then I'm going to start like hitting returns, making sure there's no widows, and just kind of doing that. Now, don't look straight. I think I have to keep that. But I'm going to make this, I want this smaller. I might go into break 2 rules, but the 2 rules is because I'm single typesetting and not paragraph typesetting, is I'm going to have widows. But this is purposeful widows, I'm calling it, because I'm intentionally doing it to help the design. But when you have a widow in a paragraph of text, that does not help your design. And so that's where I'm going to bust you. So then I'm going to check these. What's the size? What's the files? Font size? 39, 38. Let's go 40. Let's reduce the leading. I'm going to do this on the one. I want both centered. See, that's why I have those guides, right? Those guides help you make sure everything's centered. It's centered, but they're both. And then, you know, I want that don't on another line too. It's distracting me. All right, now I was just going to do this simple. I'm going to add a background color. And again, if I add a background color, I'm going to go way past what I need. And then for the type, I am going to go super light. So I'm going to go to properties and the fill, and I'm just going to make it like this. I was going to do a gradient, but I think the gradient was like too much. It's over what we need to do. This is just plain and simple. It's to the point. It kind of illustrates that point. If you need to see in the dark, don't look straight ahead. So this is dark. There's nothing straight ahead. All the stuff is in your peripheral if you're looking at it. So that's what I was going with here. And this just took me a couple minutes. You know, like it almost took me longer to set up the file than it was to typeset this. But of course, you know what? I thought about this. And that's what I talk about sometimes when I thought about this starting today at 11 o'clock. I was like, oh, I gotta do these, you know, set up this project. And I looked over the document and I was like, oh, that one. And then ideas started coming and I started laughing. I'm like, oh God, I can't wait to do it. And then, you know, finally I get to do it. I get very excited about the design. So then we're going to name this the correct name. I think it's Every01. So file, save as, and I'll save to Creative Cloud, and I'm going to stay organized. And this is 142. And look, I have another one, 100 things. And this is Every01. And I'll hit save. And now I have it in my cloud. And then I'm going to export two ways. File, export as. One for the client. I'm going to write this correctly this time. And export. And the client gets the press quality with trim marks and bleed. Export PDF. Dang it, I just did it in reverse again. I said client and I did the printer one. My gosh. I'm screwing those up left and right. All right, so there it is. That's not to the client, that's the printer one. Too many lectures today. And then file, export as. Too many redone lectures for those people in my other class. And then this one, well, I gotta fix that, but it is, this one then is smallest file size. We're gonna make sure that there's nothing there, and then we export, and then that's what the client sees. I'm gonna show you one more thing, just because we have it and I can do it and I'm seeing it. Black is black, but sometimes you want blacker blacks, so make it your black black. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save a version, but I'm gonna change this black to on the fill, and here's only K. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crank these. So it's gonna do 100% of every one of these colors for the background. And then I need to do that for the text as well. The text is gonna be milky then. But what I can do is grab that text, and I should be able to, like, we wanted, like, if it's 95, I'm gonna do all of these to like 95. It's easier to type in. Okay, too dark. Why did that do that? That's 75. That's pretty good. Okay, now when I do that export file, and this would happen with either one, and I'm just going to save this as a different name. So export as, and I'm going to do, it as and then I'm just going to call it black. And we hit export, and I'll do the smallest file size, mark and bleed, and export PDF. And the black is the other one. See how gray that is? And then see how dark that is? That's because I set those blacks differently. And this matters when you do design. there are going to be times when they're set up and they're going to ask you to make sure your blacks are 100, 50, 50, 50, 100, and the printers know. So get used to it, and it does make a difference. Like this one's kind of milky. This one ends up on my screen looking a little bit reddish, but I don't know what you're seeing exactly. But you can adjust those. So there's a little extra design stuff there. All right, let's talk about your Don't Burst My Summer Bubble giveaway. All right, first thing, what you should kind of be doing a lot is doing some research and looking around, and like even just like image research is good, like bubbles, like anything that like kind of comes to your mind, and just like click on images and like start seeing some stuff like, okay, I don't know what powder puff girl came up, but like, oh, we see all these images and like, okay, I'm seeing what bubbles look like. And then I had the idea like, or bubble gum, though it's not really in conjunction with bubbler because it's sparkling water. You look at this, okay, I'm not really seeing anything. Then I had another idea of balloons. Get some images. Well, I know what a balloon looks like, but whoa, here's an idea. Like there's clear balloons, there's these balloons, there's these balloons. I wasn't even thinking hot air balloon. Like maybe that's fun for summer fun. Like, oh, that's an idea. So like I'm just doing some research, some visual research to see ideas. Like, oh, bubbles in a drink. Maybe this is going to inspire me a bit. Like looking at what these look like. Oh, is there something cool I can like glom onto? Like that's a totally different looking bubble than say this type of bubble. And if we're talking bubble because a bubbler and it's a fizzy drink, like maybe our bubbles we should make sure that when we're doing them, they look like this. But do some research. Look at what you want to do before you do it. It'll make your life so much easier. And then write some stuff out. I do this. This is TV time. Get in front of that, get a show on, get a piece of paper. And I know like a bunch of designers like, but I can't draw. It's just about idea generation. So literally, I always this is the first thing I do right here. I sit there and I will write this out twice, and I won't do the whole thing that bore you, but I'll do don't burst. And I'll do the whole thing. These are, the main words. And then I'll do like a lowercase in my mind. And you can do this on the computer, but what I'm looking at is letter forms. And I may be looking at how are the letter forms looking? What do upper cases look like? What do lower cases look like? Maybe how they work together. Like I see this don't burst, like you see these two, and you're like, oh, that N and that U, like, oh, and now I start seeing something of those are working together. Like, oh, okay, so what if I just like continue on with this? Summer. This is all you're doing. And then you're looking, and then it's giveaway. So I'm looking now I'm like, oh, does there, can I get any correlation between letters and how they work together? I wrote this out and I was like, oh, a balloon. Like, I don't know why I thought a balloon. I was like, I know why, because I have this idea that I want to do maybe bubble letters. And I've seen this, and it's like no, come on. This is the one I want. Like there's tutorials out there, bubble letters. And I'm not talking this type. Oh, I'm talking, Oh, it's not showing up. There's like a 3D one now you can do. And this tutorial on YouTube kept popping up. And I'm like, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But there's plenty out here. And you could find a font probably that would match it. But again, if you find a font, the thing is don't just type it and be done. Like this is something where you need to overlap letters and have some fun and move it and change it. And make it, make it your own. You're like, you are in charge. You can make it your own by doing so many different things. But to continue on, like with this idea, like think of some ideas, and then like up here, it's like don't. Like, so if I do a bubble letter, like what would I do? Like, like maybe like, like. I need help with like the pudginess or whatever, or like is the N, like how abstract can I make an N that people would still know? Just that offset, is that enough? So if it's like, and then like, oh, I'm done with this page. Like, I'm just going to clear that, do another one. Like, what if it was, so that's not round enough for me, but if it was D-O, I think people will read that, right? Like, and I was like, okay, so I can go with this. I might be able to go with this and have it be more of like a block round than, and then, like, what did that take me to draw out? Not very long. And then, so you're like, okay, I'll do each letter. And I don't even have to do each letter either. I don't like that. I want those point. Like, I don't want a curve. I want a little point. And like, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that there, or maybe a U could just be simply, like curvier on the bottom and the top. So I have two versions I can play with. This B, I already did a B, so like, we know maybe what that would already look like. And then an L is just going to be like barely out. And then the E. I'm kind of liking this. Like, so that's where I can go. That's one design. So I just kind of go with that. I'm going to rewrite it a couple times. And like straighten it up, and then like don't burst and I want the bubble without burst, and I'm going to continue with that. I got this one. I'm going to keep the balloon idea I did it earlier, and one thing I want you to all know and make sure you know about too is I'm working with the words, and the words are what's key. I'm not designing like I'm going to do, this is what I don't want you to do is, oh, bubblers. Okay, great. And, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. It's going to be, oh, yeah, I'm going to have all these bubbles. And they're like, ching. They're all ching. And like, that's the base of my logo. And then it's going to be first my summer bubble giveaway. And then I'm going to, go zoom out. Like, nobody can read this. This isn't fun. This is just like a bunch of bubbles with tiny text in the middle. That's not what I'm looking for. This is key. This is what we want people to look at. And then secondary is like any kind of accoutrement or changes that we want. So that's why I'm working on just the letters. or here in the balloon, I'm going like big as possible for this. And then kind of like third to that, when we're talking about this, is going to be the, other logo. Okay, so I have to do Summerfest and Bubbler. And then so like, maybe those are just like neatly put down here. Like that's a logo and that's a logo. Or then maybe I'll transfer, like maybe the Bubbler logo can go up here and the Summerfest one down here. So it's like Bubbler, don't burst my summer bubble giveaway. And so I'll do that. And like, so this is one clear direction. I have this clear direction where I'll just write it out. It's very similar to one I've done in the past, but I want to make these like really straight but mushy. I'll figure that out. And I think that's the direction I want to go. And then, a third design. And if I'm stuck, like right now, I'm kind of stuck. I've been working on stuff for an hour. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to do some other things. I'm going to walk away from it, and I'm going to work on it more tonight or tomorrow and do some other work in order to, finish up what I need to finish up. And, like do something else. Take a break from this. And then come back to it, and then you'll have even more ideas after that. So that's what you need to do for the research, and then developing that logo. And the biggest part, like I'm telling you about that logo, is it's the words. We want people to read that and get a feeling from it, but we don't want the words to be tiny. The words are the biggest. Like this is what they're reading. Don't burst my summer bubble giveaway is what I want people to read and see from a mile away. And have some fun with it. So, let's see. Uh-oh. Don't tell me I lost the feed. Okay, I didn't lose the feed. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All right. With that said, just let me know. If you guys have any, check Blackboard. I check Blackboard all the time, and I'm excited to see what everybody comes up with. All right, take care. Thanks. Bye.